Good afternoon. Today the Scout's back with another whiskey. This time it is Chivas Regal 12 years blended Scotch whiskey. We all know it. In this case, I've only bought the 200 ml version of it. And the reason I only bought the 200 ml version is I've had a 750 and a 375 both in the past. I've kind of moved on from it, but I think it deserves a review. And so I bought the 200 ml and we'll go from there. I've got some of my old notes, and then it doesn't change much. It's a very good, consistent blending. I have to say that. Even compared to my old notes to now, it seems to jive very well. So, Chivas Regal is an old name. Chivas Brothers, 2000, it was borrowed out by Pernod Ricard. I think it's been around since 1801 is when it was established. It's a very old blend, but I don't think it made it to the States till after Prohibition sometime, but don't quote me on all that. My knowledge and research on this is not my forte. I've got other things I have to do in this world, and that kind of time is spent doing other things. Excuse me. Anyway, sorry about that. Anyway, we're looking at 12-year-old. Is 40% alcohol by volume. That's reaching around this is not a pleasant thing. It's light gold. Let's get to the visual here. Fairly thin, narrow legs. They ran fairly quickly, as you'd expect. Now, Chivas Regal is one of those brands that compete pretty much with Johnny Walker Black as the 12-year-old. Buchanan's 12 is another one of them that's in that range. Dewar's makes a 12, and they all kind of fall into that 12-year-old blended Scotch range. Chivas has several other older offerings they came up with. I think it was in 2006 they started offering a couple different ones, a Royal Salute and an 18. And I think they even got a 25 out there. Don't quote me on that, but I believe I remember seeing that actually. Western Kansas, they wanted like $200 and some for it. Or more. Maybe it's $275, $280. Anyway, I'm digressing here. Gets fruity. We get the apples. We get especially green apples on this. There is a light maltiness to it. There is a sort of an astringency in there, and it's a light. There's sort of a woody astringency in there, and it's not dominating feature. It's just you get it in the nose, and at first I confused it with alcohol. Spirit on the nose, but it's not that. It's an astringent smell after you've smelled it for a little bit. And I get a little bitter chocolate on the nose. And that's about it. Now the palate, this is actually pretty good. There's a honey sweet with that maltiness in it. There is still the green apples. Still slight woodiness, a little slight bit of astringency. Again, not bad astringency. Just very slight light. You get it in the mouth. And white chocolate. That bitter chocolate on the nose changes to a white chocolate. It becomes very apparent to me. And that's kind of what it finishes with. We're done. This is pretty quick finish. It's not one that's going to last a long time or dwell with you for a while. And it leaves that malty white chocolate in the finish. This is not a bad blend at all. I mean, it's $35 roughly, $35 to $40, depending on where you're at in Kansas, for the 750. You can get cheaper on sale occasionally. as far as a blended 12 goes, it competes very well with Johnnie Walker Black, in my opinion. There's maybe a little light smokiness. I'm getting to it now that I didn't note in my notes before. But this is the first dram of the day, so my palate's really open right now. Let's get around that. Yeah. There's a little bit of a light smokiness in the palate. Ever so light. And you got to remember, Chivas Regal, they bought out Strathala. I've reviewed Strathala 12. Not a particularly fond one for me. It's not particularly what I enjoy. I use a lot of that in their blends. I'm unsure what else. I think Longmorn too goes into a lot of the Chivas Regal blends. Outside of those two, I'm really unsure of it. And the maltiness, and I don't know. I'm not going to say anything along those lines. I'm not going to say something that I'm not sure of it. So we'll just leave that alone. This is overall, Chivas Regal is a very light. It's inoffensive. The astringency is the only detractor in it that I can find. Not overly complex. Likewise, not solely driven by one particular flavor pattern. We do have the honey sweetness and the maltiness counterbalanced with the fruitiness, to my knowledge, very well in this. This is this is pretty good blended Scotch whiskey. I think for a score, that's not as good as like Great King Street. I think I gave that an 84 or an 85 out of 100. That's just a step below. We'll give this an 83 out of 100. I think it's that decent. I enjoy it that much. It's not something I'm going to buy to keep around because they're so much better in the single malt world that I've already spent the money on, that it would be redundant for me to spend money on this that could be spent other places, if that makes sense. So that's how I view Chivas Regal. I don't view it as it's not a good whiskey, because that's why I'm not buying it. I'm just would rather spend that money somewhere else for a much better. I would rather not buy 2 or 3 750s of 12-year-old blends that I've already bought in the past, and that would translate into another $20, $40 to $50 that I could devote to a better single malt. And if I hope that makes sense in how I'm trying to. So when you see this, don't think, well, he's bagging on. I'm not bagging on it. I'm not bagging on it at all. I'm just saying I could devote that money and the extra money that would be toward a 750 to something else of better quality that I'm going to enjoy more. Does that make sense? Anyway, I've digressed long enough. We have a score. We have what I think of it. Remember, the spirit in your glass isn't running from you. Take your time, sip it, enjoy it. You'll be better for it. Everyone, have a good evening. Afternoon. Don't even know what time of day it is. The sun's right there. I've lost it.